Imagine waking up and not knowing the word for morning. You feel cold, but there is no word called cold. You see your mother, but there is no name to call her by. You feel hungry, but you cannot ask. This was every human for almost 300,000 years. We think of ourselves as the talking species, the species of stories, of songs, of arguments at the dinner table. But for most of human history, there were no dinner tables. There was no dinner. There were no words at all. We do not know exactly when language began. The bones do not remember sound. The earliest evidence we have is indirect. A throat shape that could hold vowels. A gene called FOXP2, slightly different from the chimpanzees. A skull with room for the brain regions we now use to speak. The honest answer is somewhere between 50,000 and 200,000 years ago, our ancestors slowly started to talk. Slowly, not in one moment, not in one place. The way a fire spreads through grass on a still day. So what was life like before that? It was not silence. It was sound. The wind, the river, the cry of an infant, the grunt of a hunter, the slow, careful exhale of a tribe sleeping around the embers of a fire. There was a music to early human life, just one without lyrics. People still loved each other. We forget this sometimes. Without language, a mother still pulled her child close. A man and a woman still touched hands across the fire. Two friends still walked together to the edge of the river and looked, for a long time, at the water. People still grieved. There are graves, older than language, with flowers in them. Someone, with no word for sorrow, still chose to lay a flower beside a body. People still wondered. They watched the stars cross the sky, the moons swell and shrink, the seasons turn. They did not have a word for time, but they felt it pass. So what changed when words came? Suddenly, a hunter could describe an animal that was not there. He could point at the dirt and draw a horn, and the others would understand. The mammoth, miles away, became real in the firelight. This was the beginning of imagination as a shared thing. Suddenly, an old woman could pass on what she had learned, instead of taking it with her into the ground. The dead began to live in the mouths of the living. This was the beginning of history. Suddenly, a child could ask why, and a parent had to answer. This was the beginning of philosophy. But something was also lost. Before language, there was no lying. There was no rumor. There was no insult that lasted longer than a glance. You cannot be cursed by a sentence. You cannot be undone by a word. Some scientists believe early humans communicated through music before they communicated through speech. Long melodic phrases, used between mothers and children, between mates, between friends. A language of pure feeling, with no grammar to argue about. If that is true, then somewhere deep in us, we still remember it. It is why a song without words can make you cry. It is why a baby calms to humming. It is why, when language fails us, we sing. We do not know what those first humans called the sun. We do not know if they had a word for love, or only the feeling of it. We do not know which of them said the first word, or what that word was. But we know they were us. They had our eyes, our hands, our ache for meaning. They walked the same earth, under the same stars, and they wondered. And then, one day, slowly, like a fire spreading through grass, they began to speak. And the world has not been quiet since.